Well, this video is going to be something a little bit different because our local mall is basically closing down. So I wanted to take one last walk through the mall, kind of get a record of our mall at Christmas time, facing its last Christmas as an operating shopping mall. And it's got a lot of history. It's been in this town since 1960, and in the turbulent world of American retail, at one point in the not too distant past, this mall had a Sears, a Kmart, an Elder Beerman, and a J.C. Penney. And now all of those are gone. So let's go take a look. After the 1990 remodel, this first store on the right was our video arcade, and now it's kind of a collectibles and sports store. You have to give the mall management a lot of credit. This year they actually went all out, put all the Christmas decorations up, and gave everyone that came to the mall for Christmas 2024 the best possible experience that they could. After the 1990 remodel, this was Jo-Ann Fabrics, and they had been in the mall really since the 1960s. And I think before it was Jo-Ann was in a different spot, and it may have been a drugstore here, but I still am trying to remember exactly. But let's head on down towards Sears. Well, at one point in time it was Sears. Now it's kind of the closed off mall entrance, and behind that is the running store, which is kind of a farm and equestrian and clothing store that doesn't have mall access. This is the local children's museum, and it is actually still open. You see more of the Christmas decorations. Anyway, they are still open, and before it, this was kind of a couple of upmarket clothing stores, and before that, this was the location of our original Kmart, and before that, a store called Brit. We all love the We're Rolling pretzel store, and they're closing permanently here in January, so it's getting to the end for them. They're not going to be moving like a lot of the mall stores are.
Happy birthday.
Coming up here on the right is, well, it was the location of Charlie's Coney Island, which was a really great little Greek restaurant. Now it's a Laotian restaurant, and they are actually still open and working. They weren't here, but when I came back, they were open, so we'll have a picture of that. And I haven't been in there since it kind of changed genres, but I'm sure it's terrific. See, there you are, where it's actually open and running. The Hot Topic store and Maurice's have been in this mall for probably a good 20 years, and I'm obviously not their target demographic. Same with Bath and Body Works, a place you walk by a million times. I have no idea what they do. Like I said, my Radio Shack, Kmart for fishing gear, and the Sears tool department were the main reasons I was in the mall, other than the theater and the restaurants. This was the old Hallmark store that came in down here after the 1990 remodel. I don't remember exactly where it was pre-1990. Down here on the right, that's pretty blatantly the old Foot Locker, and that came in, I believe, in 1990 with the remodel. And further along down here, we'll get to the Spencer's store, and that replaced the old, I believe it was a KB Toys store that was in here after 1990. There's the Spencer's. And a lot of, well, obviously all of you have been in a Spencer store. Can't remember what was there on the right. And this is the entrance to the Elder Beerman, which was really it was a nicely done, beautiful, big department store, and this entire chain is gone. Let's go ahead and take a walk down the hallway to the old theater.
You can still tell it was a theater. So that was the old Cinema 6. Later on, it was a church, a non-denominational church. But that was our theater at the mall after the 1990 remodel. Then we had this sort of hallway that led to the rest of the mall, and vertigo-inducing carpet.
GNC closed up shop at this mall location long ago and never took the signs down. What was important to me down here, we'll get to in a minute. After the remodel, it was never a mall visit was never complete without going to the pet store and playing with the gerbils and the puppies and getting attacked by the parrot. Every time we were in there, and we never got a puppy in there. We never had a pet store puppy. All we ever had were independent breeders and rescues. This was another salon down here, and then the big store on the corner was the 1990 shoe sensation before they moved to the front of the mall about 5 or so years ago. And at the end, this was an antique store, but apparently about a year ago, they quit paying their rent and the electricity and just walked out, took what they thought was valuable, and closed the doors, locked it, and walked away.
There's an antique store in here.
I'd really like to get in there and look around. Just a quick look. I think that was the old jewelry counter in there. This is the back entrance to the Pennies off the Elder Beerman concourse in the mall. This store here on the right, well, this was the old Buckle, and it's been turned into kind of a storage annex for the local historical society, and that's a half-scale F4U Corsair and the city's 1940 fire truck. And they're gonna, well, I don't know if they're gonna have to find a new home or not. See, this part of the mall isn't going to be demolished, but no one knows yet if it's gonna stay open. The new part of the mall supposedly is gonna stay for a while. This side of the mall was the Buckle, the Victoria's Secret store that we're looking into here, which is gone. Journeys, which sold a lot of cool Adidas shoes. EB Games, I think the original, actually I think we're coming up on the original Bath and Body Works, was on this side. It's a clothing store called Threads that seems to still be doing well, or the Thread. This was the Bath and Body Works store, I believe. This was Journeys. They sold a lot of like Adidas sneakers and kind of streetwear stuff. Then this is an airsoft range. I'm not sure if they're still open or not, but this later on I believe was the EB Games, and later on it was a GameStop. And then this, which is this year was Santa's Village, this was at one of the jewelry stores. In the main center of the mall here, I think 3 of the 4 corners at one point were jewelry. Right around the corner here was Luca Pizza, and this hasn't been closed very long, and apparently they couldn't get enough staff to keep the place open, so they just shut her up and walked away. Literally looks like you could go in there, turn the lights back on, and go back to work. This was a great place to eat. Their food was amazing. Really enjoyed it, and I didn't know it was gone. I came in the mall a couple weeks ago, and she's closed up. The lights are out. Took me a little bit to figure it out, but that gated up one was the record store. This was a higher end clothing store, and for a while after it closed, the tuxedo store moved in here. And in here, years and years ago, was a place called Rarities. I believe this was the area it was in. It was kind of a neat little hobby, kind of collectible baseball card kind of shop, and it was a lot of fun. And way back in the 80s, the bookstore and the hobby store were in this area. For a long time, this was a Buckeye and Wolverine store. They sold pretty much exclusively local college football, college sports apparel, BG, Findlay, Ohio State, and Michigan, some UT, things like that. This was kind of maybe the main mall entrance to the J.C. Penney here on the left, and it's just amazing to believe that we don't have a J.C. Penney anymore. Down here along this aisle were several styling salons over the years. They kind of changed hands, changed names, and I've got a funny story for the Fiesta, but I'm not going to relay it here, so you're all just going to have to guess. This was the Payless shoe store forever on this corner, and honestly, I had not realized it was gone, and I'm not sure if the whole chain's gone or what happened, but here it is all locked up and closed. I guess it just slipped my mind. After the remodel, this was our first Dollar Tree. First one in town, and my grandma loved this place. She had so much fun in there. And all this redone in the 1990 remodel when they put a Super K in down here. This was our Super K Mart. Gone now 20 some years, and that's the closed up, chained mall access for the Dunhams. That's staying. There's a Michael's craft store and a Best Buy behind there that don't have mall access, but originally that was an exterior entrance to a restaurant called Duff's before the remodel. And this whole section of the mall's been completely redone. This was the entrance, like I said, to our Super Kmart. But on this, to my left here, would have been the original J.C. Penney store in the mall before the remodel. And like I said, this is completely redone in 1990. But along here, kind of where the portico starts, is where the Penney store would have started. This was our post-remodel Radio Shack. The original Radio Shack was across the way to my left, I believe.
Oh, yeah, you should. Ooh. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're going to completely reconfigure this end of the mall, but down here, the Tokyo Steakhouse is going to stay intact, and I guess just going to become an exterior. The hallway is going to become a driveway between what's left of the end of the mall and what's going into the middle. So this will be open air, and that's going to be an exterior wall. This is the original American Commodore Tux and the little play area down here. That's pretty much how it looked like in 90 when they put it in. But for a long time, this was the tuxedo store. And there's a sports and collectibles and vintage streetwear store in here, still open and doing business. I'll show you a picture here in a second. Down along this side of the mall, after the remodel, before it was the Penny store, big Penny store, which was a huge store in the mall, this would have been Aeropostal and American Eagle. Hopefully they find a new home outside the mall, because it seems like they're still doing really well. And according to the folks in the store, our Books A Million is moving, but they don't know where yet. Well, that's about it for this. I may add some more stuff and do another video as I try to find and get permission to use some vintage pictures, but hope you enjoyed it and we'll see you later.